And next to me, Billy Bob Thornton, director, actor, and scriptwriter.
Billy Bob Thornton, this is
your fourth feature film as a director following Sling Blade, All the Pretty Horses, and Daddy and Them. What triggered your interest in this strong, very special story, which is set in the 1960s, but also reflects a lot on the contemporary United States and your function as a director and actor and co-screenwriter?
Huh? Is it coming?
No.
Is it on?
No, I don't hear anything.
So, can you hear me? What interested you in the story? What was it that triggered your interest in the story, which is set in 1960s U.S.?
Well, this is certainly uncomfortable. Yeah.
Okay.
That would.
I can do it. What was it like doing your first film, fourth film as a director, after the three films before, which is a very strong, very special story about 1960s Americas, but also reflection what's going on today as an actor, director, and scriptwriter.
Okay. Alrighty then. Directing this film was a very special thing for me, and the reason it came about, I was complaining a lot about the state of movies in America, that most of the movies that are easy to get financed are movies about models in gladiator uniforms and wacky comedies with kids who get caught with sheep in hotel rooms and things like that. So instead of complaining, I decided to just write one and direct it. And it's a story that I'd had in my head for a long time. I think that I'm a better director when I'm doing my own material. And my last experience was on All the Pretty Horses, which was someone else's movie that I was hired to direct and didn't have quite as much control over what happened to it. And in this case, I was able to cast who I wanted and cut the film the way I wanted, thanks to Alexander. So I appreciate Alexander very much. So here's an American story and a British story that nobody would finance in America, so a Russian financed it, which was pretty great.
Could you please pass it on? Thank you.
Hi, Billy Bob. Congratulations. And from what I understand, you brought this movie here for its world premiere in Berlin. You said it's the only festival you guys wanted to come to, and so you were skipping Sundance, famously enough, then with this American-British comedy. Why is that, I wonder? And also, is this the start of a new phase in your career where you're going to go back to directing a lot of movies?
Well, first of all, the reason we wanted to come to Berlin with the movie is because this is known as a very serious film festival. I mean, where the quality of the movies is paramount, and not the studio. It's the only one we tried to get into, and it's what we all discussed, and this was where we wanted to be, and we were so honored to be accepted here. So in a lot of ways, no matter what happens, when we sit back and look at the movie and know that we made the movie that we had envisioned and that we got to be in this festival, then we already are winners. So no matter what happens, we're already happy to be here. And in terms of the next phase of my career, yes, I think I will direct some more now, as long as I can work with people who are financing movies independently and with people like Alexander, where they understand that a clear vision is the most important thing about a movie, and not how many movie stars you have in it or things like that. And I think one of the things that's wrong with movies today is they try to squeeze people into roles who don't belong there simply because of their popularity. And in our case, we have we have popular actors in the movie, but they're also known as actors and not celebrities. And so that's the way I prefer to do it. So if I can keep making movies like this, I will do it. But I probably won't direct like the next Star Trek movie or anything like that. Because I don't know how.
Hi, I'm Anke Engelke from German television, ARD Morgenmagazin. I have a question concerning the casting. You just said that you prefer casting people that are actors, not celebrities. How did you go, how did you do this with this movie when you knew who was going to play which role? Did you have somebody in mind while you wrote? Did you grab yourself the role that was most interesting for you or most challenging, or nobody else wanted to play? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, apart from the women's parts and John Hurt, which other role would you have played? Oh, too many questions. I'm sorry.
Well, no. Generally, when I'm writing a script, I write it with people in mind. I think it's easier that way because you already have their vibe, you know. And the same thing on Sling Blade. Most of the people in Sling Blade, I already knew who I was going to cast. And there were a couple of roles in this movie that I had written or had started writing for a couple of other people who, one way or the other, it didn't work out because of availability or whatever. And I believe in my heart that it was one of those great accidents, because the cast as it ends out is much better than what I had ever envisioned it. The question has always been odd to me. Someone asked me one time, when you were directing Sling Blade, did you ever consider anyone else for the part? Well, shit, no, I didn't consider anybody else for the part. Because how are you going to explain that to somebody? Why would you do that? In other words, why would you have a middleman, you know, to do that? So if I go hire actor X and say, okay, I created this character. It goes like this, you know, and then tell it there's no sense in that. You know, nobody ever asked Bruce Springsteen, did you ever consider letting anybody else record your songs? And in this case, each person was right for the particular role that they played, I believe. And I thought Kevin Bacon, you know, as the hippie brother, you know, was the correct choice, and Robert Patrick for the role that he played as the brother. Ray Stevenson, John Hurt, Catherine Lanassa, right down the line, even the grandchildren, and then Robert Duvall. I think each person, if we had gotten in a room and discussed it, I think each person would have chosen the role that they're in, I believe.
Hello, this is Yanis from Greece, on your right here.
What's the right? Oh, I see.
Okay. So the film deals with family, obviously, but the issue of war is substantial in the movie too, because almost all the male characters have this connection with war, or either they went or didn't go to war. So I would like to ask you, for you, was there a connection while you were writing the script? I mean, did you find a link between those two, family and war?
Well, actually, at the essence of the movie is about that. If you could say what this movie is about at the end of the day in one sentence, it's about the romanticism of tragedy. And in terms of the war issue, sometimes when you make a movie or write a book or whatever it is, if you make it a broad, sort of on-the-nail topic, the people who should see it don't see it. And sometimes you have to slip through the back door a little bit. So as opposed to making a an anti-war movie that is called anti-war, you know. In this sense, it's you have this backdrop of a funeral and these two families, these two parts of the same family meeting, and that's really the entryway into the real subject, which is how different generations view war, how different generations are affected by war, and how that affects the family. So we did it in sometimes a darkly humorous way and sometimes in a dramatic way. But one way or the other, that is what it is about at the end of the day, and how we don't learn the lessons of the past. And in the movie, Robert Duvall's character very closely examines tragedies. He's trying to figure it out, but he's not an articulate guy. And he just doesn't quite know what this randomness of life is all about. And it's also about communication, or the lack of communication between family members, because when people don't communicate, they don't learn. And that's really what this is about at the end of the day. So yes, the war theme is very strong in this movie, and yet we didn't call it, you know, post-war blues or whatever, you know, you could have called it.
Hello, Kirill Galetsky, The Hollywood Reporter. I have a question for the director and the producers. This Russian-U.S. co-production
of your life. I'm so proud of this movie, and I'm so privileged to be part of it. It speaks for itself, and it's going to be there forever now. So I think it stands on its own two square hillbilly feet.
Anne-Christine Loranger, Canada. The comment that I have is that your film is universal. I saw my relationship with my father, I saw my fear of him, his whatever he didn't say, and I'm sure that a lot of people recognize their own relationship with that. But my question has to do with, it seems to me that this movie is about inheritance, the inheritance that we so want to have and can't get, and that we're stuck with.
Yes.
And I was wondering, what was your first impulse? It must have been such a strong impulse, because to run a movie like that, to write a script, it takes such a phenomenal push. What was your push?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll try to be brief in telling you. My father, from the time I was 4 years old, used to take me to car crashes. And my father was a very violent Irishman, and so there was abuse, both, you know, verbally and physically in our household. And he was a Korean War veteran in the Navy, and he was a very intense guy who I don't think I ever had a conversation with. And if you, there's a scene in the movie where I go to him and ask him if he has any stories about when I was a kid, or any conversations that we might have had, or anything like that, to which he doesn't reply. And honestly, I don't remember ever having a conversation with my father, but he would take my brother and he would take us to car wrecks. And he would stand there and smoke Lucky Strikes and stare at the car wreck for like 2 hours, while my brother and I were like, why are we here? You know, this is horrible. And that was how he connected with us. And so I was a baseball player, and he was a coach. But he wasn't a baseball coach. He thought baseball was for what's the word for sissy in German?
Feigling.
Huh?
Feigling.
Thought baseball was for feiglings. So he wasn't even appreciative of that. So in other words, I spent my entire life trying to get the approval and the acceptance of older men to this day. I've known Robert Duvall, and he's been a mentor of mine for, since late 1980s. And I love him as a father figure in so many ways, but I'm terrified of him. And every moment I want him to accept me and to approve of me. And the same with Mr. Hurt. The same with other actors I've worked with over the years. So these things, in other words, the pulse of this, I think, was driven by that father-son relationship and the need for acceptance or approval. And the funny thing at the end of the day, and you're talking about this inheritance, World War I is represented in this movie by those two characters, and they just went and they did it because that was their duty and everyone should do that. That was that generation. Then World War II, those guys went and did the same thing because they were told by them to do it, but when they came out of it, it was a little more horrific than they may have anticipated, but when they came home, they were heroes. They were like rock and roll stars in their World War II uniforms. Then Vietnam came along, and the people who came out of Vietnam were treated almost like lunatics or street people or beggars in a lot of ways. Do you know what I mean? And in this movie, that hasn't quite happened to these kids yet. So you see that these lessons in the movie, at the end of the day, you think, oh, wow, they're not learning. They're not learning this, are they? And through all of that, through beatings and no communication and everything, when I grew up, I realized that I understood my father, and I love my father, who died when I was 17 years old. And I always loved him because he was my father. But what I finally realized is that he did not have the capacity to express anything, so it came out the way it did. And that was a big driving force behind making the movie. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yes, that's where it came from. No.
Hello. Question from Philip Hagany from Gottschalk Live. Mr. Thornton, you said in an American magazine that you were very excited to be here on one festival with Angelina Jolie. So did you meet her here in Berlin, or did you see her?
Oh, no, I met her years ago.
Years ago? All right. Okay. There's no chance to meet her here in Berlin?
Well, here's the fact of the matter. Anytime you're in a high-profile relationship, you know that question is going to come up forever. And so if you want the honest-to-God truth, here's the truth. Angelina is a wonderful woman and one of my best friends in the world. We talk on a regular basis. So this is not like when people split up, people like to make up stories about how much they are against each other. Well, this was never true, never has been and never will be. I'll love her to the end of my life, and she'll love me as friends. Brad is a friend of mine. He's a great guy. I love them both. I love their children, and they love mine. And in terms of meeting her at the festival, she's been very busy. I've been very busy. I've been in England with John Hurt. And we were both excited when we heard that we were going to be here. And then we were even more excited when we found out that one of us was in the competition and one was a special premiere. And because then that would become a story. And we haven't seen each other so far simply because she's doing her thing, I'm doing my thing, but I'm sure we will this afternoon. Thank you.
My name is Mahar Sigit, African Refugee News. I have two short questions, one for the director, one for the producer. For the director, when I saw this film, I didn't see it all because I had an interview, so I had to go out. And I was thinking of myself, because English family going to America to meet an American family. But for me, an American is for citizenship, Because there is the Irish American, Polish American, Italian American. Which one did you choose in that moment? Did you choose your family, the Irish family?
Yes, predominantly they would be Scotch-Irish, you know, probably so, yeah. A lot of the South is settled by the English and the Scotch and the Irish, yes.
Yeah. The second question was for Alexander. You gave an answer before why, but it was not what I wanted to hear, because you came here last year with another film, and that film won a prize. But more than one prize. The actor was so good. When I want to whistle, I whistle. I don't know if you remember that. The question is, what is your technique? Because it's not like Sir Hart said, Chekhov. What is your technique? Do you have something in your agenda that says, this is a film I have to put my money in? Or is it just because luck?
That's a question. You know, important, you know, feelings and ideas. That's important for me.
Vielen Dank an das Team von
Thank you
Jayne,
very, very,
Mansfield's
very
Car
much
und
to the
uns
team
und
of
John
Jayne
Hurt für
Mansfield's Car, and again, congratulations to John Hurt for the honorary BAFTA.
Well, before you guys go, there's one more thing. Last night, John got the the Lifetime Achievement Award, or whatever they would call it, in London for his body of work, which is an amazing thing and so well deserved. And last night I forgot to give him one other part of the prize, and plus I didn't want to take the time out at their ceremony, but I was able to give him the award last night. But I brought him something from home, the cane that he used in the movie as the character. And I just want to present it to him now as a part of another award from us. So there's your cane.
Thank you so much. That's really kind. Lovely. I shall treasure that. Thank you.